Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is the Breaker Bulletin for February 21st, 2023. Alright friends, so what is going on with Breaker Press Games? I like to do these videos once a month in order to keep my Kickstarter backers aware of what is going on and just anybody that is interested in Breaker Press Games. So, what did we accomplish in February of 2023? Well, first and foremost, the Patreon reward was the Outlier. This is an 8-page zine that details the Outlier class that originally appeared in Rabid Dog Zine. It is fleshed out with additional information like some Outlier-specific equipment as well as a mighty deed. It is a very cool little zine that is designed to be able to be handed to a player. You don't have to pass books around, and they can just, go for it without having to share books. This is the third in the series, and I'm really happy with how they've all turned out. And so hopefully people are liking them too. If you become a Patreon member within the month of February, I still have copies left. So and they have a blue cover with a little thank you note on the back. So yeah, if that's something that's interesting to you, become a Patreon member at the $5 and above level, and we will get one of those to you. So what's next? The Kickstarter reward that I finished this month. So Hillwood Camp is done and ready to go. I mean, technically it's at the printer right now, and I should have an email today or tomorrow notifying me that it is ready to be picked up. Hillwood Camp is 44 pages detailing the anarcho woodsfolk community of Hillwood Camp. It has 3 NPCs that have a interpersonal dynamic that is complicated and dramatic. There is a full details of the camp itself, as well as some things like the code of the woodsfolk and superstitions of the woodsfolk to give the community even more depth and be able to... The community should feel like its own person in its own way, because they've got their own culture and their own way of doing things, and so I think it's a really cool place. And then the back half of the zine is encounters, and so the first are 7 tests of the woodsfolk, like the Whetstone Ritual, which is the test of the axe handler, or Ais's Wisdom, the test of the healer. These were inspired when I was working on the Protectorate of Genulane, which are training encounters to transition a 0-level character towards being a cleric or a warrior or a icon bearer, which is my version of the paladin. This was actually designed to transition somebody to a woodsy character like an Outlier. In fact, each of the 7 tests are named after the 7 abilities that the Outlier has. So, that being said, after the 7 encounters, then there are 2 groupings of, I should say 2 spreads of random encounters, which are encounters along the Hillwood Trail and encounters in the Western Hills. And then the book ends with one of my favorite things, a name generator, because if you are born and raised in Hillwood Camp, you're going to have a different name than if you were born and raised in Stennard. So that is Hillwood Camp. So what else did we accomplish in February? Well, started to make some progress on Cleft in the Mangled Hills. Been sending terrible sketches to Carlos Castillo and being like, hey, this is what the description says, and this is what I envision. Work with that. And Carlos Castillo is such a trooper. He takes my terrible ideas and turns them into something awesome. Both him and Francesco Accordi are working on stuff and getting things done. We'll talk more about that when I talk about March. So what else? I started a series of YouTube videos called DCC Basics. I've been going through and breaking down. I did one on the weird dice chain. I did one on funnels. The next one, which I'm going to record after this video, is on Mighty Deeds. But since there's so many new people that have come into DCC RPG in the last month or so, I wanted to, one, make it easier for people that are considering it to know the specs and get into it, but also those that are new, but I've noticed that there's been a lot more conversation on the boards trying to suss out how do Mighty Deeds work? Can somebody just, lop off somebody's head? No, not necessarily. They'd have to roll really high. But I'm going to break that down in the next video. So we'll talk about that soon. So what else? DCC Basics. I submitted my GaryCon events. If you're going to be at GaryCon, I'm running The Precipice of Corruption, Wide-Eyed Terror, Desperation of the Hungry, Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. And I think those are going to be combined into one session. And I think there's one other session that I submitted. So there's definitely 4 things. I would love to have you at my table. So please, 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 if you're going to GaryCon, come and play games with me. And then this month I was on the Scrivenery. This is my last month where I'm going to be a co-host, but you will be able to see my bald head on Friday of this week when we talk about making maps. And I also had the honor of being on Spellburn, the rebooted Spellburn, yesterday, and it was an absolute joy to be on it. You can watch the recast of it right now on Twitch, and it will be up on YouTube soon. So with everything that was done in February, well, what's going on with March? Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in March too. The Patreon reward, I haven't settled on what it's going to be. It's either going to be the Icon Bearer character class broken into a pamphlet form, Halo of Flies from Rabid Dogs turned into a pamphlet adventure, or it will be something called the Coin Swallower, which I wrote back in October, November, which is based upon one of my favorite people to play with, play DCC with, and other role-playing games, Jay Griffiths. He had a character named Gareth that he absolutely despised, and trying to get Gareth killed did all sorts of horrendous things, and I loved this villainous character so much that I decided to immortalize them, much to Jay's chagrin. And so one of those 3 things, Halo of the Flies, the Coin Swallower, or the Icon Bearer, will be the March Patreon reward. Cleft in the Mangled Hills will be finished and shipped. I did already toss it off to the side here, but Hillwood Camp can't ship until this is done. And it is starting to shape up into its final form. Carlos and Francesco need to finish a few more pieces of art, and I need to redraw some maps and tweak some encounters based upon the redrawn maps. But all told, this will ship in March. And when they are done working on art for that, then all focus will shift to the Protectorate of Genulane. I know you guys are waiting for the Protectorate of Genulane. People keep asking me about it. I'm very excited about it. You're very excited about it. It's a really cool adventure, and I'm really looking forward to getting it done and into people's hands in April/May. It'll get finished in April and may not ship until May. And so... yeah, also in March, I'm going to continue the DCC Basics series. I got a bunch of things that I want to cover, like Disapproval, Spellburn, Luck. All those things will get covered. And then I am going to start working in earnest on a bunch of events. I want to actually do a bunch of in-store DMing events, judging events, where I essentially want to go on tour. I've mentioned this before, and it's something that I just can't get away from. I got my tithe box. Obviously, I like to talk very excitedly about things and channel my my hardcore punk roots into basically get in front of a large group of people and just going for it. And I want to do that in stores. So I've done it before, and my skills have only sharpened in the last 2 years, and it's something I really want to do. And then I want to do a bunch of animal advocacy events. You know, there's a theme behind Desperation of the Hungry, of dog rescue. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I am very passionate about animal rights. And so I want to bring some of that to the DCC community, and give the DCC community an opportunity to give back. I know David Beatty does fantastic things for cats, and I want to do the same thing for dogs and other animals. So that being said, we are going to talk about one last thing before I go. I totally skipped over something very important for February. Desperation of the Hungry is on Kickstarter right now. It is a 16-page zine that takes this pamphlet encounter that I wrote and fleshes it out into a full 2-hour encounter with further backstory and more detail on the NPCs and what have you. It is very much in the spirit of Wide-Eyed Terror, except that this particular home invasion is about poachers trying to steal Olnik's Mutt Wrangler's dogs and subject them to a brutal death. And it is up to our lovely peasants to try and stop that from happening. So it's a really fun encounter. It has a lot of moving parts, and I think that the 16-page treatment will make it even better. Please support the Kickstarter. I'm really excited about it. That is everything that is going on with Breaker Press Games. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. I am going to link you to a couple more of the DCC Basics videos and my 10 tips for running a successful open table campaign up in the cards. And thank you again. You guys have a fantastic month, and I will talk to you soon.